Good morning, everyone. Very good. Hey, why don't you turn and say good morning to somebody near you? Just do it again. Find somebody different. Find somebody new. Find somebody around the corner. One of these days, we're just going to get up and go around the whole church. It'd be fun, won't it? So I need to congratulate Kyle because he and Charles are here, right? Yeah, and there they are back there. Charles is not having a good morning, though, so he's going to be awful noisy and whatever, but that's okay. Hi, Charles. Can you wave? Yeah. He knows that I'm talking about him, though. And today is Andrew Smith's 28th birthday. Andrew is one of our ushers. Stand up, Andrew. And we want to say congratulations, 28. He doesn't look like he's anything over 22, does he? Those Smiths, they are good and hearty. They know how to live well. You know, the priests of our diocese, we're kind of crazy guys when it's all said and done. And when we gather together, priests are a lot like you guys. We talk about things. And one of the things that is always interesting to us is when we get a new bishop. And for us, remember, the priests, when we are ordained, we make a vow to the bishop to bring or give him respect and obedience. And the words are that we give respect and obedience to the bishop and his successors. And for me, it was Bishop Hoffman back all the way back, holy moly, 25 years ago now. It's hard to believe. They never thought that I'd make it 5 years, let alone 25. True. And it was Bishop Hoffman, and we made, the hands would go together, and it's kind of the medieval sign of submission, because when your hands are like this, you can't grab a sword, right, and kill somebody. So it's a sign of submission, and we put our hands in the hands, and the bishop wraps his hands around ours, and he says, "Do you promise respect and obedience to me and my successors?" Now, when you know the guy, it's pretty easy to do. Like Bishop Hoffman was bishop almost the same amount of time as St. John Paul II, St. John Paul the Great was Pope. Roughly around, he was made a bishop around 78, and then he took over as our main bishop. Remember Bishop Donovan? Remember Bishop Donovan? He was the one that confirmed me, by the way. And so Bishop Hoffman was already all the way through our bishop while I was ordained. And then we had Bishop Blair. Remember Bishop Blair? And Bishop Blair now is Archbishop of Hartford, Connecticut, the home base for the Knights of Columbus, right, Jeff? And then we have Bishop Thomas, Daniel Thomas now. And I can tell you that when you make that promise, it really is an act of faith, because you don't know who the next guy is coming. It's an act of faith. And you might get a schmuck, or you might get a real gem, as I believe we have in Bishop Thomas. In fact, Bishop Thomas came from Philadelphia, and what was remarkable about his installation was that half of the cathedral in Toledo, half of the cathedral, one side, the right side as you look out, was filled with priests from Philadelphia. all the way back, from front to back, all priests, because they just love this bishop that we have now. And they told us that he was the best of Philadelphia, and we're blessed. So it's easy kind of to be faithful and follow such a good bishop, but you just don't know, and that's the whole point. Today, in the gospel, well, let me say it this way. When we talk about, the bishops and the priests, when we talk, whenever we get a new bishop, we say, there's a new sheriff in town. Makes sense, doesn't it? And what we do is we wonder about this guy, but we know there's a new sheriff in town. And it's kind of interesting because, sometimes you don't get a boss, maybe in 20 or 30 years, but for priests, we might get a new boss every 6 or 8 years. Who knows? But we always say there's a new sheriff in town. And you guys know what that means. It's like, okay, now we got to see how things are going to change and what's, new, what's going to be different, who's going to be thrown under the bus, all of those things, right? And in the gospel today, we could probably say that there's a new sheriff in town, Jesus. And the reason why we can say that is because Jesus brings a new sense of the law to the people. And the new sheriff in town, he isn't going to behave the same way that the past people behaved. And Jesus today, he takes he's teaching the people, we hear that, and then they bring this woman caught in adultery to him, and all things change. They're trying to trap him, and he knows better, and he says, okay, am I going to fall into their trap, or am I going to try to move things forward? And he chooses to move the teachings forward. And so here she is, caught in adultery, and Jesus says, basically, nothing to start with. He says nothing. But he bends down and he starts, to do things in the dirt. Now, everybody thinks that maybe Jesus was just doodling or whatever, trying to kill some time, distract those that were trying to trap him. But in fact, the biblical scholars believe that he was actually writing in the dirt. And then he finally stands up, and this is where the new sheriff is in town, and he said, let those of you who have not sinned cast the first stone. And then he bends down again, and he starts writing. And most biblical scholars believe that Jesus was writing the sins of all of those people gathered around him in the dirt. And they saw that. And they, one by one, the oldest, probably the one with the most sins, if you're old, right? Andrew. And so he's writing the sins in the dirt, is what some biblical scholars say. And one by one, they go, yikes. And they back up and they start saying, see ya. And here the woman is left with Jesus. And he says, is there no one to condemn you? And you bet that she's probably barely able to squeak out any kind of noise. And she says, nobody, no. And he says, neither do I condemn you. And that's the new sheriff in town. That's the new sheriff. That rather than condemnation, we have compassion. And a lot of people think that Jesus might be condoning her behavior, but no. He doesn't condone it. He says, go and sin no more. And some biblical scholars say that he said, try not to sin no more. Because he knew sin is part of the human experience. And so there's a new sheriff in town. New sheriff, and he's changing things all around. And we know that he's changing things for the better. You know, Isaiah tells us that there's going to be new things. And in fact, Isaiah says that, look, the old is going to be pushed away. Isaiah says, remember not the events of the past, the things long ago consider not. And then we hear, look, I'm making things new. New. And this prophecy from Isaiah foretells the coming of the Holy Spirit, the same Spirit that was active at the moment of creation, and now this same Spirit that will provide consolation and hope, not only to the individual, but consolation and hope even to the sinner. What a remarkable thing. And St. Paul tells us in Philippians that there is nothing that we could possess greater than Christ. And Christ wants to be with us. Christ is in us and with us. We know from baptism that we are claimed for Christ, we're baptized in the name of Christ, and that the Holy Spirit dwells within us. And it's that Spirit that gives us the courage to live under this new law, this new understanding of the law. You know, Jesus said that I came to fulfill the law, not get rid of it. And in fulfilling the law, he makes the interpretation of the law new. And it's that law that we live under. It's that law that allows us to know the mercy and forgiveness of God. And you know, it's not too late tonight at 7. You know, you can drink in the forgiveness of God again as we offer confession. And it's an opportunity for us to know the forgiveness, the mercy, and the compassion of God in our lives. It's an opportunity to experience that which is remarkable. You know, when we think about it, it's an amazing, wonderful thing that we can experience. You know, today in our world, even around the world, there are still places and people that hold fast to the law of hard justice. And I think the nation of Brunei this last week, you know, we saw on the news that they have embraced very hard laws, still yet stoning people who are caught in adultery. Imagine that in the 21st century. Here we are, Brunei, still stoning people caught in adultery. And it just goes to show us that God's mercy and this message of mercy needs to be proclaimed. It needs to be lived. And we need to embrace it. Because there are other people who believe other things that still think that it's okay, you know, to stone somebody who's caught in adultery. Sad. So today I would encourage us to think about God's new law. Think about the fact that we live under this this new law. And again, it's a new law and a new understanding of the law that Jesus invites us to. And if you can live with that in your life, with mercy and compassion, with forgiveness, then you are a person who could say that you are a disciple of Jesus. Drink it in. That's the invitation. Drink it in. Drink in this mercy and compassion. Just as the woman caught in adultery. I mean, think about how she must have felt when she heard those words. Then neither do I condemn you. Neither do I.